Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi.
I'm Rithesh Makkena from Snowflake and
Matt Luizzi from WHOOP.
Yeah. Thanks for making to this session. I know you all will be looking forward to getting back home, but hopefully this session will energize you all before you head back to your flights.
We're all and going back home. Competing for Ubers to go to the airport after this.
Exactly. So today we're just going to discuss about, I'm going to give a brief introduction about, so I'm from Snowflake, so I'll give a partnership introduction about what are some of the product innovation that both Snowflake and DBT are doing together. And then obviously I'm going to make it super fast so that you can actually hear the amazing story from WHOOP, how they've been using the whole enterprise architecture, specifically from the medallion architecture point of view, all the way from landing the data to some of the coolest AI insights that you all, if you're all WHOOP users, how you're looking into those insights. Matt will give a bit more context to it. So with that, let's get started. We already did the introduction. Again, Rithesh and from Snowflake and Matt from WHOOP. So thanks for being a great partner again. And obviously, I also have Luis here from DBT. If there are any questions after this session, I'm going to run because my flight is in 2 hours. But if any other questions comes up, Luis is here to help as well. All right, so the agenda, like I said, we'll start with some of the core product integrations that our teams, our engineering and amazing product teams have been working in the last couple of months and how that is being used by the customers like WHOOP. And also some of the differentiations. You might be using DBT Core versus DBT Platform, but now DBT Core is is also being used by Snowflake as a DBT project. So I'll give a quick overview of that and some of the differentiation, and specifically where the DBT Platform can even play a significant role to amplify some of your Snowflake implementations and journey towards those business outcomes. So let's start with you're all aware of the DBT Core and DBT Fusion. The announcements, I'm not going to spend too much time about it. So the whole ID experience and how you're also able to schedule your most complex transformations to with variety of these jobs and the schedulers that you get both within Snowflake or within the DBT platform plays a significant role to make your lives easy in day-to-day to operate your complex data engineering pipelines. So at a very high-level context, I want to start with the DBT projects, which is nothing but you're all familiar with DBT Core. The reason why Snowflake has invested to bring DBT Core within Snowflake is so that you don't need to again invest in the third-party platforms again. You might be using some of the third-party platforms for the observability perspective to make to also have a overall data lineage and also scheduling this complex tasks. When you're building this DBT models, you would need a third-party platform. So in order to remove the complexity for you to again invest in a third-party solution or the other open sources, we have invested in bringing in the DBT Core within Snowflake. That's where the DBT projects happen. So you can do all the goodness that you've been doing all these years on DBT Core within Snowflake without having to rely on any of the other open source or the third party. On top of that, obviously, you have the choice of using a DBT platform. This is where, again, if you're working in a company where you would need you have platforms beyond Snowflake, right? So you might be having not just Snowflake, but there could be some other OLTP databases as well where you're trying to replicate and then do some of the transformation. But you would also need the lineage of what's happening across these cross-functional platforms beyond Snowflake. That's where the DBT platform is the right choice for you. And also, DBT platform provides you the better capability. Not every company invests in a hardcore data engineering profiles, but if you are also trying to expand to non-data engineering profiles, that's where DBT platform enables your business users so that they don't need to rely for a simple transformation pipelines in order don't have to rely on the data engineering, but you're making some of these business users a lot more self-sufficient. That's where again DBT platform, a lot more easier UI gives you this capability to create this simple data pipelines to get into Snowflake. Right? So this is the major differentiations from the core perspective. Obviously, there are a lot more aspects to it, but at a very high level, this is the context, right? So if you're a DBT core, we are removing all the complexities, just bringing it onto Snowflake, providing the same capabilities, same end-to-end observability of what happens to your pipelines. But if you have more than Snowflake, but you still want to enable that observability and also remove the complexity of relying too much on your data engineering team and empower your business users, that's a DBT platform. So a bit more context of also what we've been working together, both on the DBT projects and also DBT platform is lately, pretty much every company talks about having a data strategy, and specifically it's a lot more relevant if you are a customer where you are prioritizing to have an enterprise AI strategy. You need to have that medallion architecture where your data lands and then the transformation happens, and only then your AI agents or the agentic workflows or the RAG applications that you're creating will be able to provide a meaningful context to all the questions that you're asking. So some of the key differentiations that we have been collaborating with is how we can, you all heard about Snowflake Cortex, Snowflake AI SQL. We are able to embed all these functions both within the DBT projects and DBT platform. You are seamlessly able to use some of the Cortex functionality when you're bringing in both the structured data and unstructured data, where you're able to combine both the structured and unstructured data as part of this complex transformations. You're all familiar with the DBT models, so how we are defining those models, and within those models, you're able to leverage some of the Cortex functionalities to create a very clean data before you start building your semantic models, semantic views, and on top of that, obviously, empowering your agents. So that's the essential of Snowflake plus DBT, either it is core or the platform that we are bringing into the play. Some of the most common use cases, how we are accelerating the use cases, modernizing the consumption. Right? How many of you use a Snowflake today in this room? How many of you are familiar with the Snow Convert offering that Snowflake provides? So that's pretty much, by the way, 99% of the audience uses Snowflake. So are you all familiar with the Snow Convert? So Snow Convert AI is a free offering from Snowflake where we help to where we are helping you all to modernize your legacy ETL platforms to move to modernize those data pipelines on Snowflake. And one of the key offering that we do is if you have a legacy platform, and I'm sure you're all considering to move from these legacy platforms to Snowflake leveraging DBT. So Snow Convert gives you that capability from the day one where you can just like lift and shift some of these ETL platform migrations and converting them into DBT projects on Snowflake, right? So that's where you can maximize the Snowflake consumption. And also, as part of their journey, we are also helping you to accelerate your journey by investing in these free tool offerings like Snow Convert AI. And everyone is trying to create agents today. In order to create the agents, obviously, you need to create a relevant business data products. And in order to create the business data products, you need to have a very clear context building. So in order to create the context building, that's where, again, DBT is not just used for building the complex transformations, but also their capabilities to provide a context as you are building these pipelines, and that's where the semantic view comes into the play, empowering these AI applications and delivering this data products a lot more faster. So that is the overall conjunction with landing the data, transforming, and you're not just transforming, but also transforming the structured and unstructured data, creating the context overview to help provide, build a better matured semantic views, and building your agents leveraging our Cortex or anything else on top of it, right? So if you're essentially looking into that medallion architecture, that's what it is all about. Either you can we provide the capabilities of using SQL or Python, your choice, and then ability to use the reusable functions, create the models, ability to reuse those models within your other data pipelines, and obviously CI/CD, the GitHub integration that we provide out of the box, and the entire observability and providing also the testing and documentation. By the way, that is like one of the most complex asks every customer looks into as they're modernizing is, how do I ensure that there is a proper unit testing in place? And this is something DBT provides out of the box, where you can incorporate the unit testing in different stages. So call to action, if you're not familiar with SnowConvert AI, leverage it. Our team is here to help. Luis is part of the partner team. I manage the partner team on Snowflake. We'll help you to modernize. So that's the first action item, and we have tons of demos and blogs. Leverage it. And with that, I will pass on to Matt, which is the lot more exciting session to hear about how they have started their AI data journey on Snowflake and how dbt is actually playing a key role as part of it.
All right, thanks, Rithesh. To get started, I think it would be helpful to give some background about WHOOP and give more context into the type of data we're dealing with and what we're actually trying to accomplish. But quick show of hands, how many people have a WHOOP in here? Nice. How are the recovery scores looking after the dbt party last night? Hopefully pretty low. Great. So WHOOP, if you don't know, is a wearable device, and it is designed to be worn 24/7. And over the past 13 years, we have invested very heavily in making it the best wearable on the market. What differentiates WHOOP is the screenless design. As you can see here, this is our latest device, the WHOOP MG. And it's really designed to have 2-week battery life, no distractions, and collect data to measure your biometrics and help you coach, learn, and improve habits and improve longevity. We use AI coaching within the app to help you understand your data, ask questions, converse with it. And this is really important because this is where the market's going, and also it is very powerful for engagement, and this shows with our engagement rates and our retention and the way that our members really enjoy the product. We do have a free trial program, so if you go to join.whoop.com and you're interested, we have a 1-month free trial. We ship you the hardware. You don't like it, ship it back to us at the end, no charge. So if this is interesting to you, feel free to check that out. And the new technology that launched earlier this year is very exciting. I don't know if you guys follow, but we also launched blood work earlier this month. And with that, members now have the ability to purchase a lab test through WHOOP, go to Quest Diagnostics, get blood drawn 15 minutes within a week. Results are uploaded to WHOOP app, and we're marrying the blood work data with the biometric data and using AI to help coach you to actually understand what's going on at a holistic view. Here's some images of the app. Hopefully this is helpful for giving you a sense of the vast amount of data and the types of data we're dealing with. And why I'm showing this is because it's on my team to actually synthesize this and help us understand what are the products we need to be building. So product analytics is heavily involved with how are members using our app and how are people engaging with the features, and what do we need to build to continue to grow as a business and help improve members' lives and increase longevity. So we have everything from sleep, strain, recovery, activity tracking, and you can see down on there bottom right, some blood pressure insights and ECG functionality. So first company to bring cuffless blood pressure insights to the market, and really powerful for giving you, again, that holistic view of your health. Now, we're dealing with a lot of sensitive data. We're dealing with a lot of data that we're using to make big decisions. So how do we govern this? How do we ensure that we're making the right decisions, not only for the business, but for the members and the impact that it's going to have on their lives? And that's where we use dbt and Snowflake to help us architect this. And as Rithesh eloquently said, the medallion architecture is something that's very key to making sure that not only do we have the data and can work with it quick in some of our more environments around testing and QA, but we ensure that once data is promoted to production, it is ready to be consumed, and we know exactly how it's going to behave. We can't afford to have downtime, and we can't call ourselves a 24/7 tracker if we're not truly up 24/7. So data integrity is very important. Now, kind of getting into how we're using this for AI. So all of our data lives in Snowflake as a business. We are very heavily leveraging Iceberg because, as you can imagine, if we're taking 100 hertz data off of your wrist, that's 100 readings per second. That is a lot of data. We have tables that have all of your heartbeats. And what that means is we have petabytes of data, and we need to process that data. We need to get it into a consumable form for analytics, but we also need to have it be available for more data science and data engineering tasks to train our algorithms. And that's where Iceberg comes into play, where we're storing all this. We use some native tables for more application workloads where there's easy connectors to just point to Snowflake and ingest. And then we also are using OpenFlow and trying to spin that up to bring in some of our unstructured data. So you can probably see where this is going, but with all of your structured and unstructured data in one place, we're very interested in Snowflake Intelligence and using agents to help the business make decisions without a human intervening. And as a company that's growing extremely fast, we don't want to be hiring a new analyst every week to help us make the right decisions. This is where AI can be super powerful for WHOOP to help us accelerate the business, move fast, and feel really rooted in data. As you can imagine, we are a data company, and that's within our DNA. So no product decisions or marketing decisions or you name it get made without the data team saying, hey, here's the data to back this. This is my hypothesis. This is what we think is going to happen. Implement, test, iterate, ship, and measure, and go on from there. So as you can imagine, so many requests are coming in. You're all probably dealing with Slack messages hitting you all the time around like, how many customers do we have? And this really basic information, all the way to stuff that's less basic, like should we build X or Y, or what is the opportunity of this feature versus that feature? I think we can all agree we'd much rather spend our time as data people working on those challenging problems that are really high leverage and letting AI tackle the easier problems that we've done 100 times and we know there's a correct answer to. So we're using dbt to model all of this data. So once data lands in Snowflake, we have a YAML file for every single table that lands with all of the metadata described. And this is where we're aggregating it as close to the source as possible. Now, why did we choose this versus another method like a traditional like data catalog that you have to go into a web UI is because this is where analysts are working and this is where AI is comfortable. AI is really good at documenting. I don't know if anyone's used Cursor, but if you take the engineering code base and put it in Cursor next to your dbt project and say, document this table based on reading the code base and understanding what it does a pretty damn good job. And we're using technology like that to help accelerate code documentation. And then dbt investing on the lineage. So as those models go from landing in Snowflake, several layers through our DAG downstream to be consumption tables, there's transformations happening. There's complicated aggregations. And the AI with the dbt copilots and Snowflake functionality is really good at traversing that to understand what are the transformation made and how do we carry that context through to ultimately like help document the end stage tables, so the gold medallion layer that we want our business users to interact with. Now, when I say business users, we're starting to talk about agents as well. We want to build agents on top of this data to help us answer those simple questions. And with some of the more advanced reasoning models that Snowflake Intelligence is starting to use, it becomes really powerful when you have a moment where you actually ask it, like, should we do X or Y? And it can go to your Confluence knowledge base or whatever you're using for internal knowledge. It'll say, let me think about how WHOOP prioritizes product development and features and get that context and then ask itself questions that it can answer with SQL and just reason through that stuff for a while. And just with prompting in the Snowflake Agent UI, you start to get these really powerful chatbots that can do things that 6 months ago I didn't think would be possible with Snowflake Intelligence when we first started demoing it with the Snowflake team. So why this is all important and what you can see here in this WHOOP Genie framework is something that we've built out internally. So I just talked through the pieces end to end, but essentially what we're doing is we're storing the data in Snowflake, we're processing it all with Snowflake's compute, and this is on like the chat application architecture. Then we're using Cortex Search over the metadata that we're bringing in from our knowledge base, and we're using Cortex Analyst to help us do the text to SQL. We're using Cortex agents on top of this, which will decide when do I need to write SQL versus just retrieve more information to help the AI reason. And then we're serving it up to the business. And we were very early on in this because of our dbt architecture and the availability of the metadata. So we actually had an application we were building in-house using just a React web framework before Snowflake Intelligence launched. And with the APIs that Snowflake had available and just using some like open source, like LangGraph LLM frameworks, we were able to build this internally. And we're now in the process of deprecating that and migrating to Snowflake Intelligence because it's come a very long way since we started using it in January of this year. But what this application does is walks through this flow. So what we can do is we can decide if we need to write SQL, let's figure out what semantic views exist. If we don't, let's just get some additional information from the knowledge base to help answer the user's questions. So this could do things like, tell me about the company's key objectives, which would be just, hey, let's go search the knowledge base and get this information. Or how are we performing against our company objectives? First, it has to get those objectives. Then it has to say, how do I answer those, getting data out of the Snowflake warehouse to answer that? So you can see here how it thinks through the steps, and it's very linear for now. And I think it'll be easier to show you how it's done. So what we have here is a brief video just showing like an example. This is the internal version that we built and how it worked. And of course, as I mentioned, we are migrating to Snowflake Intelligence and very excited about that capability. Rithesh and team would probably be more than happy to show that off if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about. That's not great.
I think they're doing it, yeah.
We might have to skip the, oh, it's because it's, might be skipping the demo, but I think it's a chatbot. You've seen a few. It's like ChatGPT or.
I think it's trying it. Let's give it a shot one more time.
Are you logged into your Google account on your phone? You can maybe set it to public for a short while.
Oh, looks like we got it. I like that suggestion though.
Yeah. No.
All right, questions? Yes.
So I'm curious, with Cortex Analyst, are you using the DBT semantic models to power it, or are you using the Cortex Analyst semantic models?
Great question. We are using the Snowflake semantic views, and we are using the DBT metadata to compile those. So I'm sure if you're like actually looking into this stuff, you've probably seen those macros that people have created to allow you to do like create semantic view as using typical Jinja syntax in DBT. We're doing something very similar to that so that all of our metadata exists and you can just use the syntax that you're all very familiar with refs to other DBT models and powering our semantic layer that way for now.
Can I ask a follow-up question to this?
Please.
With the announcement that Metroflow is being open source, will Cortex Analyst be adopting Metroflow as the standard?
The whole concept, like 3 weeks back, we announced our OSS semantic model open source, like where it could be interoperable, and we are actually working with DBT, where if we are creating a semantic view on DBT side, how we can just interoperable the same view into our own semantic view on the same way around. If there might be users there might be customers who wants to create their own applications, not use Snowflake Intelligence out of the box. So that's where they can just leverage their own semantic view, but call the Cortex API that we have today. So it's really the customer choice, like how they want to go with on the feasibility perspective. Yep.
Yep, in the back.
Can you talk about your Snowflake agents that you're using? And can you mention something before this kind of agents?
Yeah. So the question's around explain how we're using Cortex agents. And what we're doing is we're creating these semantic views in DBT using the macros that we talked about. And that will write them to Snowflake and then they're available. We're also ingesting, like right now we're just using like a internal Python script which will go to, we have one Google Drive folder that we like and the data is not changing very often because it's just general knowledge. With OpenFlow being something that we're working on right now, the goal would be to plug into live data. So we'll ingest these documents of unstructured data, so like presentations and PDFs and Word documents. We'll chunk them up into like 1,000-character chunks and then put them into a Snowflake table.
Cortex search, yeah.
Then we'll put a Cortex search service on top of that, and that is one of the other tools. So there's 3 main types of tools that a Cortex agent can have. It can be Cortex Analyst, which requires just a semantic view. You can have Cortex Search Service, or you can have custom tools. Rithesh, you want to explain custom tools, or?
Yeah, everyone familiar with the MCP, so we announced about the MCP. So custom tools plays a role there. We have launched our MCP server. So even if you want to, so based upon the context, that's like, let's say WHOOP needs to call a doctor, which might have to do like a web search. Right? You can include that using our MCP server. Is that something on your roadmap?
It sure is.
Yeah.
We're very excited.
Yeah. So that is one of the examples. With the custom
essentially
tools.
any user-defined function, UDF, or stored procedure that you can have in Snowflake, you can make accessible to the AI, and it will decide when to use that tool. So if it's a call doctor stored procedure we wrote, which is just like if this, then that, the AI will know, let me do that, let me pass in the right parameters to that function and execute it. So that's like one of the third option. So what we've done is we've built a couple very simple procedures, like send this to my email, and Snowflake actually has, Snowflake Labs, I believe it's called, has a public GitHub repo of some really interesting tools that you can just copy the code, execute it, and make them available. So we have probably 50 or so semantic views, 3 or 4 search services, and a couple custom tools. And then you just put them into an agent. No code required. If you want to do it via the API, you can. If you want to do it in a UI, no code. And then you give it orchestration instructions. So, hey, you're an agent responsible for helping WHOOP. Use these tools when somebody asks about this. Use these tools, whatever. And then it will pick which tools to use. And it's not limited to one because it can reason. So maybe it will use the response from one tool call to decide to do another tool call after. And that is essentially how Cortex agents are powered there.
Yeah. So it will decide the Cortex agent or the API, if you're leveraging the Snowflake intelligence or the API, when you're leveraging, it will know to route the request based upon the semantic view that you have created. Do I need to go query a table, or do I need to fetch the unstructured data from Cortex Search, or the tool calling that Matt was explaining?
Yeah, good question. Anything else? All right. One other thing on that, Cortex knowledge extensions on the marketplace, highly recommend checking them out. They're pretty much search services that you can one-click install. Start with the Snowflake documentation one.
Yeah,
it's all the Snowflake docs that you have to go to the web, and you're probably on every single day if you're a Snowflake customer. It's just now you just chat with your agent, and it searches and will tell you how to apply it. Once it's in Snowflake Intelligence, it can actually start to work with your query logs if you put your query logs into a semantic view. So very cool, good gateway into understanding functionality, but how to build a lot of stuff yourself. Great. Well, thanks everyone for coming.
Thank you.